Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today I'm going to show you how to install ChromeOS on an old laptop or an old desktop PC. This has been made really easy from Google itself. This is an official operating system that we're going to be running, known as ChromeOS Flex. This was just officially released by Google to the public, and it's been in beta and alpha for a little while, but I've tested it on 3 different devices. It works out really well, and if you've been wanting to turn one of your old laptops or an old desktop into a Chromebook or a ChromeBox, it really couldn't be much easier than this. What I've got here is a cheaper Lenovo laptop that I picked up from Walmart about 1.5 years ago. It's got a dual-core Intel CPU with 4 GB of RAM. It did pretty decent with Windows, but we are limited on the RAM side of things, so I figured I'd go ahead and turn it into a Chromebook. And it actually worked out pretty well. Everything works here. We've got brightness control, we've got Wi-Fi, the front camera's working, trackpad. Everything functions perfectly fine like it would if it did come with ChromeOS right out of the box. And I've also tested it on a couple office PCs like the small form factor HP with a Ryzen 2400. But one of my favorite things to run different operating systems on are these older Optiplex small form factor units. This is a 3020. You can pick these up for around $50. Sometimes you can get them for free from your local college, or even just check out Craigslist. Somebody might be selling a pallet of these for super cheap. But the Optiplex has a 3rd generation i3 CPU with 4 gigs of RAM, and ChromeOS Flex runs absolutely amazing on it. So if you're interested in getting this up and running on one of your old PCs, let's go ahead and jump right into it. There are a few things you're going to need. Obviously, you'll need a PC to install this on, but you'll also need a USB drive. 8 GB or larger, and I would recommend a USB 3.0 drive. I've got a USB 3.0 8 GB drive right here. And we'll also need another PC to get our USB drive set up. This will work with Windows, Mac, or Linux. You'll need the ChromeOS browser, and it's actually really simple to do, but I'm going to walk you through the process. So if you're interested in getting ChromeOS Flex up and running on one of your older laptops or desktop PCs, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our USB drive ready. They really couldn't have made this any easier. I'm on a Windows 10 machine, but it works with Mac, Linux, or Windows 11. You do need Chrome installed, so go ahead and get this installed. And I'll leave a link to the ChromeOS Flex help page. This is going to give us the minimum device requirements. So we need an Intel or AMD CPU, 4 gigs of RAM, at least 16 GB of storage. We'll need that USB drive. And if you take a look here, note that the Intel GMA 500, 600, 3600, and 3650 are not supported, but these are very old. If you've got the HD 2000 and up, you should be good to go on your Intel CPU. So the first thing we're going to do here is plug in our USB drive. Mine's already inserted into my PC. It's an 8 GB drive. We just need to leave it like this. But remember, we're going to be writing to this drive, and in turn, it's going to format that drive. So if you have anything important on that USB drive, go ahead and back it up. We're going to head over to the Chrome web store. Link for this is in the description. And we're going to get the Chromebook recovery utility. We're going to add to Chrome, add extension. Once it's added, we're going to go ahead and launch it. I'll minimize the browser. And what this allows us to do is create a recovery media for our Chromebook, but we have FlexOS built into this also. So we're going to choose Get Started, select a model from the list, select a manufacturer, and from here, we're going to find Google ChromeOS Flex, right here. Select a product, Flex. We're going to choose Continue. And from here, we need to select that USB drive so we can flash the operating system to it. So from the drop-down, I've got my 8 GB drive here. We'll choose Continue, Create Now, and let it do its thing. This may take a little while depending on how fast your internet connection is and how fast your USB drive is. But for the setup I'm working with right now, I haven't had it take over 10 minutes, so just be patient with it. It's going to verify the download. It's going to unpack the download. And now it's going to write it to the USB drive. Once it's finished, we can go ahead and click Done. Now we're going to remove our USB drive and move over to the PC we want to run this on. Okay, so now we're going to take that USB and plug it into the PC. Now this is going to be a bit different for different PC manufacturers, but what we need to do is get into the boot menu, otherwise known as Boot Manager. So on this Lenovo, while it's booting up, I'm going to press F12, but on Dell and HP PCs, it will be a different hotkey. It could be F12, it could be F9, F10. Best bet is to check your manufacturer's website for your boot menu hotkey. So while this is booting up, I'm going to tap F12 a few times, and we're now in the boot manager. You can see we've got a few to choose from, but what we're looking for is the USB drive. From the selection menu, we're going to use our arrow keys, go down to USB, press enter. It's going to boot into ChromeOS Flex. Now there's a couple ways to go about this, but I would highly recommend trying it out first from the USB, and we will get that option once we boot into the operating system. And on the initial boot, once you get to the Welcome to ChromeOS Flex, we're going to choose Get Started, Try It First. This is all going to run from the USB drive. It's not going to wipe anything on your PC, and you can make sure that everything works. We're going to have to set up our Wi-Fi. I've already done that. We're actually going to browse as a guest right now. We're not going to sign in. We just want to make sure that everything works, like brightness control, sound, Wi-Fi, USB ports. You can go ahead and run this from the USB so we don't wipe anything on the PC, because you don't want to get this installed and then find out, let's say your USB ports don't work or it doesn't connect to the internet. So from the very bottom, we're going to browse as guest. Now we're in guest mode and we can make sure everything works. First thing I usually do is just test the browser. I know we were able to connect to Wi-Fi, but we want to make sure that we really are connected to the internet. So I do a little bit of browsing, and yep, we are connected online. From the menu bar down here, we can adjust the brightness. Now this is if you're on a laptop. If you're on a desktop, this might not work and it might not even be listed here. Also test sound just to make sure your speakers are working. So for this, I'll just head over to YouTube. I've got my sound all the way up. Just test a quick video here. And sound is working with this laptop. So everything I want to work does work with this unit right now, so I can actually install this to the internal storage. Right now we're running from the USB drive, but I want to turn this into a full Chromebook. So I'm going to install this to the internal storage, and keep in mind when installing this to your internal hard drive or your M.2 SSD, it is going to wipe everything off of that drive. So I'm going to reboot the unit. We're going to get back into the boot menu and boot from the USB drive. And once we're back at the initial setup window, we'll go through our Wi-Fi setup one more time. It actually might have saved. I think it did save with this even though I was running it from USB. Yeah, it automatically connected. And now it's time to install ChromeOS Flex. So we're just going to choose you or a child depending on how you want to set this up. And at the very bottom, instead of browsing as a guest, we're going to install ChromeOS Flex. Install. It's going to give us a warning. Remember, this is going to wipe the internal drive. So if you have anything on that drive that you need to back up, go ahead and do it before you do this, because nothing will be saved on that drive. We're only going to be running ChromeOS Flex from the internal drive from now on. But if you're ready to install, choose Install, and this is going to take care of everything. It's automatically going to partition and wipe that drive for us and install ChromeOS Flex. This could take a little while depending on how fast your USB drive is, but just give it some time to finish up. It'll let you know when it's done. My installation is complete. I'm going to go down to the left-hand side here, choose Shut Down. And once we've shut the unit down, we'll go ahead and remove our USB drive and boot the unit back up. And since we've installed everything to the internal drive, it's going to boot directly into ChromeOS Flex. We'll have to do our initial setup. It'll give us the ChromeOS walkthrough. We'll have to set up our Wi-Fi, enter our account details unless you want to run this in guest mode. But once you have it all set up, you're good to go. ChromeOS Flex is installed on your PC. I would highly recommend checking out the Explore tab or the Explore app. It's going to give us some information, some new stuff that's come to ChromeOS. It's got a search function, it's got a help function, and there's a lot of great resources in here. We've got all of our settings down here, and like we tested in USB mode, everything should work. If it doesn't, I would highly suggest not even installing it. But for the most part, I think they've got a lot of drivers covered here. But in the end, it's really up to you. If you've got an old laptop or an old PC laying around and you want to install ChromeOS on it, we can do it now officially with ChromeOS Flex. And overall, it's been working really well. I've tested it on 3 different devices, AMD and 2 Intel devices, and haven't run into any issues. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Really appreciate you watching. All links for everything I mentioned are in the description. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And like always, thanks for watching.